Hello and welcome.
Hello
Oh,
and welcome. Hello
there's a.
and welcome.
I need to learn how this works. There we go. Now that you've had the echo effect, just curious. How's everyone this fine Friday morning? Welcome to my meme stream. You guys can hear me? Can I get highs in the chat if you can hear me? Okay, awesome. Yeah, I guess I could hear myself because of echoes. It's a little early in the morning. I've been to the optometrist. I can barely see. So I figured this is a great time. I woke up early and I was like, man, I really wanted to do some slider talk. So sliders. I know a lot of. I'm not going to go into what sliders are. There's an Alex tutorial on them, and a lot of other people kind of cover them. But basically, theoretical or hypothetical conversation, you say sliders, do they matter? And I say yes, they do matter. They matter a lot. And then I ask, but do they really matter? And really, I say, LOL, no, not really. And you say, wait, what? And yeah, I say, what? Um, if I can read well. Okay. So sliders matter. I think basically people put too much emphasis on sliders some of the time is what I want to say. To me, to me, I think they matter. I think like generally they matter, but I think a lot of the times people they do more harm than good a lot of the time. So generally speaking, shifting is good. Um, Pitch around is not what I think people think it is. Pitch around, at least in the base game, from what I've been told, is yes, PJ Sleeves. Um, they pitch around is for, I think it's like second and less than two man on second, less than 2 outs, and a base is free. That's in the base game when you can pitch around. Um, but it's not like that happens all the time. Shifting, this is one I'm a little bit more not have a strong handle on. Um, but I figured, there's maybe, you know, let's say like 25% of the at bats where shifting would matter, and the amount of shifting that matters. So like your infield and outfield shifts, like if you think about, there's what 27 outs in a game, and say there's like what like 40 batters faced. Your sliders probably apply to like, I don't know, let's say 25%. But going on what PJ Sleeves was saying, 99% of the time, team composition, i.e., the ratings, and substitution strategy matter more than your sliders. And this is a quote that I'm attributing to myself, but probably someone else has said. Um, the 99% is, I don't really know the real penning pitch around. Uh, the 99%, it's probably not 99%, but I do agree that even in like limited, if you go base game and you go and you do the simulation, yeah, sliders affect pull hitters. So the shifting impacts that, and like I feel like the best people probably have a lot of different sliders that do a lot of different things. Um, but I, basically, a lot of the times we put a lot of weight on sliders, and I think in general the defensive shifting is probably the easiest to get right. You generally want to shift more because you're gonna pull hit more. What I've found recently is that, early on, you may want to play corners in because people typically will bunt for hit early on. So that's been a change I've made recently. But, I haven't placed in a while, so take it any advice with a grain of salt. So sliders, how do they work? So there are two ways to do sliders, or I guess there's three ways. There's your global sliders, and then there are your individual sliders. And your individual sliders have two settings. They have adjust or override. So, and for the global sliders, you basically have, all times, all scores, and you basically have this 3x5 matrix where for each of these individual things you set them to certain values for each of the individual sliders. Your EGM. Bunting in general is a rare event, so there's usually trade-offs, and I think Kidneys did in one of his first videos, he did a summary of the trade-offs available, and it's like usually you're trading away extra base hits for singles, or you're trading like doubles for triples for a lot of the shifting. One thing, excuse me. One thing that I'm pretty confident how it works is that on adjust for a given situation, a player's individual sliders are added or subtracted from the situational sliders. So my understanding, and I know a lot of people have different understandings, is that there's an averaging effect that happens. But I've asked a lot of people, and my understanding is that they are not they are not averaged at all. It's added, it's subtracted. So on the top is your global strategy, and I have them at +3 for everything for offensive. And on the bottom is a player's individual strategy, and I have them at -3 for everything. And then effectively it would be like this. So this is all even. This is all at 0. So anything to the left, I call -1, -2, -3, -4, -5. Everything to the right is +1, +2, +3, +4, +5. The maximum of a value can be is -5 or +5. You don't add it and say -5 and -5 is -10. Some people would look at this and try to like say, well, it's -3 +3, and you divide by 2, but that's not. It's just a straight up addition and subtraction, and it's capped at the + or -5. So basically, they're the same sliders, but you can do some kind of interesting things and shoot yourself in the foot a lot of the times. So if you're early and tied, you can bunt for hit more. If you're down early, you can bunt for hit less. If you're down late, you can try to steal more bags to get in positions. If it's middle innings and close, you can hook a starter. But if it's middle innings and you have a lead, maybe you leave your starter in more. So these are the types of things that you can kind of get away with. I know the post you're talking about. It's the developer guide to strategy. I'll drop that in. And I think he's kind of changed his tune since then. I don't think you can really get a +6. I think that is not a good understanding of it. But I'm not going to hammer on it too much. I think it's just easy to say, you know, plus 5 is 5. And if you want to think it's like 6, then go ahead. I will disagree with you. And that's hello. Sorry,
Mic
my
on. Mic feedback
mic
off.
died.
Charging battery.
So, where were we? Yeah. The other thing I like to do with sliders is I can be lazy when I'm setting individual sliders. So if my global sliders are like this, where, you know, stealing bases is -4, hit and run is -4, sack bunt is -4, squeeze bunt play is -4, bunt for hit -4, then at an individual level, I can adjust it so that if I want to turn off sliders, or if I want to turn off an individual's performance, all I have to do is just -1, and then that would put them at -5, and they shouldn't really steal. Yeah. So you can do this. Good morning. Thanks for going on today. It's XTOFORAS today, Gorgo. But welcome, Gorgo. Yeah, so the other thing, override sliders. So the override ignores the global, it ignores the overall, and ignores the situational sliders. Is it important to set sliders for each player? Yes and no. The AI does some funky things. I think what I'm hopefully will cover more in another stream is, you know, if we go back to where is it? If we go back to this one, I think the composition and particularly you know, the substitution strategy is what matters more than the sliders themselves. It's basically, especially for caps, you want to play your best players, you want to play them more frequently, and that's probably going to get you more of the way than sliders will. But that being said, there are some things in the engine, like base stealing, like stolen bases. So someone, you know, with the prototypical speed higher than stealing, it's probably important that you adjust their sliders in a way to prevent them from being too aggressive, since speed is an analogy for aggressiveness. But in general, I think for sliders, it's more, if we go in, let me just load a game. Okay, let me see. What is this? Let's go in to let's go into daily early bronze. So if I go here and I unhide that and do that. All right, so we're gonna start doing some sliders now. And I will kind of, you know, show what I kind of think should be done, but we'll see. I haven't loaded this team in a while, so bear with me as I kind of fumble through. And my eyes are still blurry. Oh, okay. So not only do I don't have a roster here, but you know, we can still build.
So overall strategy, I think this left side here is probably more important than the right side a lot of the time. Um, Good thing I checked. This is on an alt that I haven't really had time to pay attention to. Um, Opener lineups. Not a lot of people have been running openers, so probably not needed. Starting max and min max pitch counts for relievers and starting pitchers. I've gone back and forth on whether or not this is important. Um, I think it is now. I think a lot of the times you kind of have to uh, get a feeling by looking at box scores, by pulling data to see for the different levels what pitching is kind of good for. But for an open, generally like 95 pitches. For relief pitchers, it's between whatever 25 and 35. You can be kind of as aggressive as you want. Stealing bases. In League, I typically leave this in the middle to throw a 40 reliever out there or keep your starter as long as possible. So, Mr. Audit, it definitely depends on the format. For a cap, there's a lot of different opinions, with even what Charles and I were talking about last yesterday, where it's like you spend so much of your budget on a pitcher, so you want to keep them in. So that's where I've kind of gone in and look at the individual scoring, and I say, regardless of the first 6 innings, I want to keep my starting pitcher in. If he's going to go out, I want to keep my relievers in for a lot. Hold on 1 second. I apologize. So the way I kind of do that is basically, for the first few innings, I want my starting pitcher in. I want my relievers, if they're in, to go in more. The pitching matchups. It's been. I've been told that people have seen that if you go all the way, then it triggers more the decision making process of whether or not to hook the reliever. So you can kind of say, I prefer, but when you go to like +5, it tends to kind of indicate, hey, you know, if my starting pitcher is a right-handed and a left-handed pitcher comes up or a left-handed batter comes up in the 4th inning, take out the pitcher. So for something like bronze, it's a long tournament. I have probably a good bullpen, but it's not. I don't care as much. And for batting substitutions, position player pinch hitting, I forget what. I think Alex said something about what the default is, but it's definitely kind of run dependent and situation dependent. So it's a little bit of a black box. If you want to try to deal with openers, you can set it to the 4th inning, so that when the top of the order comes up the second time around, typically they might get pinched hit for. I leave it on default, but I struggle at this game. Pinch hit for pitchers. Is this usually on? I didn't think pitchers usually batted. I thought there was a DH. I think there's a DH. Let's throw some cards in here. Hide duplicates. Let's sort by L10. Why is this card 2300? Let's get some pitchers. Kevin Ginkel. It's not. Oh, there's some monkey business happening. Yeah, let's throw, Eddie Plank, Ken Hill. I don't know who these guys are, but we'll just put these guys in, and then let's put in some batters. Lloyd Wayner. Oh, I do have a Lloyd Wayner. Let's throw him in. Yeah, no DH in some tournaments, but in I think there's a DH in this tournament. Yeah, there's DH in here. So, again, going back to who was it? Mr. Audit. These all kind of work in concert to describe, how your pitcher gets pulled. So, again, if you're in a cap and you're gonna be you want your pitcher to run longer than, in early, you probably don't necessarily want to pinch it. So you can either, pull this back 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think the extremes, at least in in maybe this year more than last year. Like last year, you can kind of just, do like a very instead of like doing granular, you can kind of be like, well, I never want to do this, never want to do that. Always want to hold a runner. I never want an intentional walk, and I always want to pitch around. And you kind of see this type of profile for your like defensive and pitching strategies. But I feel like that doesn't work as well. But who knows? Again, this is just one person's opinion. So it's happening. I almost missed it. You missed the meme part. You have to watch the VOD. BM Bells. So, and then pinch hit for position players. Again, this kind of in concert with your pinch hit for position players by default. And then, pinch runners. Do you really want to do substitutions in the first 6 innings? Probably not. The only reason why is if you don't have opener lineup set up, or you can like use opener lineups and kind of get around that. But as we go into the later innings, we can go and we can come in here, we can paste this, and now we can say, well, okay, so what do I want to do? And this is how I've kind of gone and went through and created my my sliders. So like basically, if it's a large trail, with the way bullpens are set up, you probably don't want to leave your starter pitcher in anymore. You wanna start pulling people. You want to be a little bit more aggressive. You want to try to keep it close, because I've seen lots of times where 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 runs get scored in the last 2 or 3 innings, and a lot of the times it being down by 4 runs is not that much. So again, I want to play the matchups. I want to play the pitching matchups. I want to play the batting matchups. I want to make sure, if there's pitchers, I want them pulled. If I want the platoons ran. I want pinch runnings, and you can like, it might be okay, to run this like for all of 7 and 8. I think this is probably when I go to redo my sliders for the millionth time. I might like look at this kind of approach, because it's all gas, no brakes, at that point. And when you're facing opponents, like this is where the hook or the pitch counts start into play around the 7th, the 8th. I really wish you could like break this up more, because the way, if you look at kind of some of the box scores, there's a lot of scoring that kind of happens within the 5th and 6th inning, and that's what I feel like is right when, you know, a lot of people's pitch counts, a lot of stamina, or a lot of pitcher stamina is kind of, when they're not on, that's when they start to falter. They start to falter around the fifth or sixth inning. And I wish this was like early, being first to third, and then there was a middle that was like 4 to 6, and then there was a late, and then a last. If OOTPD is listening, that would be my recommendation. The other thing that I wish is that there was an extra innings one. And even then, like the large trail, it would be nice if there was like a very large trail, like +10 and a very large lead, because I feel like things would work a little different. But with that being said, you know, coming here, there's lots of advantages where you can, you know, you don't necessarily need to be going crazy with stealing bases or base running. You can control that on an individual level, but you can start to be aggressive. And now, like, not necessarily, I kind of want, the way I kind of logic this out is like you start kind of here, and then I kind of go through, you know, copy, go here and paste, and then be like, okay, as the score as the score changes, how do I want my sliders to be reflected? So like, no lead is safe, exactly. So as the score gets closer, I tend to be a little bit more aggressive in my hooks. And then, you know, when it's really close, you know, I want to be cycling in relievers as quickly as possible. I want to take advantage of, you know, both pitching and batting matchups. I want to, you know, pinch hit for pitchers more. I want to pinch hit for position players. I maybe want to pinch run more, especially when, you know, that additional run is that much more critical for to win the game. And then one thing that, you know, a few smart people have kind of explained is like, you know, the 2-run lead, like Redman says, the 2-run lead is not safe. So it's like a lot of times a 2-run lead, I fit it as if it's, you know, a 1-run lead. And so, you know, I'm really aggressive with the starting pitchers, really aggressive with the hooks. The pitching matchups, I may not care as much. And I may not, pinch hitting probably is still important, but like pinch hit for position players, I may not care as much. Pinch running, I still want to do, but maybe not as aggressively. And then, you know, for a large lead, I can probably back that off and say, you know, here's a little bit more rope. You know, don't care too much about the pitching matchups, but still care. Batting matchups, still care. Pinch hits, still care. Not really. Oh, for yeah, the 10-run lead, you can be a little bit more, you can do a lot of things. So with that being said, if we go back and look at, you know, let's set up the slides. Where is this? So if I hide that and go here, whoops, why isn't that showing up? Is it because it's minimized? There we go. So let's go and look at these laziness sliders. So if I set up my offensive sliders like that, which is what I kind of do, go back here and do that. So what was it? It was like -1. No, base running, I had it there, here. Actually, let's go all scores, all times. So what I like to do is, you know, in the 7th and 8th inning, if it's getting closer, I just think going and bunt for hit when things are around where we care about them. So tend to say, hey, let's try to bunt for hit more. try to drop one down, get a base runner, because, especially the last inning, as later innings happen, I want to try to get base runners since they matter so much. Hi, I'm from. Wow, I dropped from space. Why is it? Kidneys is flying, I think. Laziness, yes. So the interesting thing that I kind of like doing with this is I kind of go in here, and the way I kind of do this is I go in and I start. This is if you go and look at the view VOD that we did, I kind of go in and I go right to left and then top to down, and I kind of just say, okay, base running on a global level is already at 0. And if I come back here and I go to all batters, 73 is not that crazy good base running. So +2, and I kind of feel that I like to do my ratings relative to all the others. Is this the new Bob Baylor? Hot damn. I didn't know I have that card on this. I like to do all the ratings kind of relative to each other. So 58, we're going to be like at 0. And then when you start coming down to, the 40s, probably not so good. And, let's move the people who can't run a little bit to the left. But basically, you don't want... Base running is one that, I think collectively as a community, we have no idea what to do. I think, doing this is wrong. But at the same time, I think doing that is wrong. As one smart person told me, if there's a ball going to the outfield, if there's a single going to an outfield and a person's on second base, you want them to score. So I haven't done as nearly a good job of like watching replays and stuff, but I feel like a -2 for Andy Semenik with 26 speed, he should probably score, but I'm not sure if that's really the case. For stealing, I kind of come in here, 86. I think there's 70 speed and 80 stealing is kind of the key, but I still, because my overall stealing rate is -4, I kind of limit myself and I say, well, I'm gonna put this at +5 because that's gonna put him at +1, and +1 stealing, it basically caps how badly I can screw up stealing. And so Bob Baylor, I can put him at +5, and that's the reason why. Like, if I had my overall strategy, at like 0, then your player strategies are gonna adjust. So as you get more comfortable with your as you get more comfortable with your global strategies, then you can come in here and you can kind of say, well, I'm running +3 adjust because I'm running -4 global, and so I can kind of just go in, and this is where I kind of don't like. Oh, I sold Johnny Vandermeer. Thank you for whoever bought that. I kind of don't like the split page vertically, because I like having my detailed view here, and I know some people like it the other way, but I'm not one of those people, because this is how I see the strategy. And then 69, it's not that 70 threshold, so now this is where I'm lazy and I can just say, okay, -1, that's good, -1, that's good, -1, that's good, and -1. And so because this is at -4, -1, theoretically that person shouldn't run. I don't know what to do with avoid Ks and hit and run, but let's just make the assumption that people with high avoid Ks you can hit and run more with. 90 is a high value, so let's just crank this way up for these guys. And as we go down, do this, 58, probably don't want to adjust. 41, he's probably going to strike out a bit more. So we can, just turn off hit and run on these guys. And as we go, continue through, sack bunt. Sack bunt is one that's at -4, so because these are all positive, it's still going to be a negative value. And so, like, these are not kind of outstanding bunters, but again, all I have to do is just kind of go in here, and -1 effectively turns it off. I can leave it in the middle. It probably would do the same thing, I'd imagine. Bunt for hit. This is where, I may want to bunt for hit more with certain people, so, I can kind of adjust it. And I know, the people, the people, where was I? We probably leave it here, and then because we have the situational sliders set up, as things go on, I want to kind of offset that for these guys who are very, very bad bunt for hits. Like, in the situation that arises where the AI would want to try to bunt for hit, I want to, try to depress that even further. I'm secretly 3 hamsters in a Gundam. So yeah, bunt for hit good. Yes, but kidneys, is bunt for hit good with someone with 6 bunt for hit? As kidneys, as the interwebs hit kidneys in space. We'll see what he says. Other things, I only have 1 catcher. Usually 97. 97 for catchers is probably what you want to be running. Let's throw Jason Kendall in here. The way fatigue works, it's gonna be bad. Everyone else, you kind of have to look at, I like graphical depth charts because I'm blind. No, we need a first baseman. Let's throw a first baseman on here. John Hummel. John Hummel? Yeah, let's throw John Hummel in here. Team by L10. So it's like, worked pretty well for Rod Carew in real life. Man, could that guy bunt? Man, could that guy bunt? So going back to the one slide that says it all. Not that slide. Where is it? Let me find that here. The one slide. Team composition, i.e. ratings and substitution strategies, matter more than your sliders. Oh, here are kidneys. If here are some of the memes, because this is a meme stream. Sliders, they're the same, and override sliders. 99% of the team is team composition. So I've obviously worked really hard in composing this team, and for a real bronze setup, you're gonna have platoons. You're gonna have guys that you don't want, or that you really would want on the field more often than not. And because of that, you kind of want to kind of ensure that they're all rested, because as batter fatigue here gets lower, it seems to be, players perform worse, much worse, much more quickly. So keeping all your starters at as close to 100% as frequently as possible is what really matters. So, 96 is probably a good enough value some of the time. If you do something like 99, then depending on your substitution strategies, and if they're tired, and they're you're basically giving away games to your backups, and that's probably one way that you're putting yourself at a disadvantage. And I admit I don't spend as much time setting up backups as well. I know the Warbot stream and Mike ABC when they did their Iron stream. Mike ABC was talking about how he can kind of get I think it was Jody Reed at the time to play 60% of the games or something like that, because he would play game in the 7-game series. He'd play games 2, 3, and then 5, 6, and 7 or something like that. And he had a very creative way of setting it up where it was every second game at third base, and every third game at shortstop. And so it kind of Jody Reed would, I think, or maybe it was second base, but Jody Reed would just kind of bounce around the two positions. And that's really one way to kind of differentiate yourself. I don't nearly spend as much time looking into that and setting that up. So for me, I kind of, again, the laziness factor, kind of go in and at the very least, if you have a guy backing up multiple positions, you probably want to go higher than 96. If you have, two guys backing up, two guys backing up 3 positions, or 3 guys backing up 4 positions, you probably want to raise that to 97, 98. So yeah, that's my little talk on sliders. Anyone have any kind of questions or anything where I can, try to feebly answer? What are the downsides of some of the sliders? Let me see. I think I did this a while ago. Let me see. Do I have this in here? Whoops. Okay. I'm gonna crib from kidneys. Kidneys slider description. Whoops. So, let's see. Is this gonna work? Yeah, that's gonna work. So, if we go back and we say, let's hide this and go here. So, this is kind of, Kidneys did this back in, I don't know, a long time ago. Time to stream playoff baseball. Right. Okay. So, hold runners. Do they get tired faster? I think so, but Mom, can you save this? Yes, I saved this. It's so easy. So this is Kidneys description of the various sliders. But for me, like, hold runners means that the first baseman isn't necessarily in a fielding position, or I think the second baseman on second. Um, but and that really, I've done it where the amount of how did it what did I do? Uh, Hold on, I have something additional that I can research. No, that's not what I want. No. Experiments. Here we go. Okay. So let me take this and let me add a new slide. And we can say hold runner, second base, infield range. So back in, I did this. My cat is very needy right now. So I did this where basically I tried two different hold runners. So I tried, +5 hold runners, and I tried, 0 hold runners globally. And this was, in base game. Just 1 second. So, yeah, I did two things. I swept infield range, and these infield range ratings, they're from the base game. So basically, the runs scored per game went from around, let's just say 5.7 to 5.25 as infield range went down. But you could see that between running, +5 versus 0, you would give up about 0.1 runs per game. So a lot of this is more, back to team composition, your opponent's composition, and all those things. But it still matters. It's an edge, and I didn't go in and sweep every individual thing, but basically the more you hold, probably the more singles you're going to give up. Does that matter? Well, I don't know. it like, we're talking about such small advantages and disadvantages that it's kind of it's kind of really, really difficult to tell, and I haven't had the time to go in and look. I really wanted to, but I just haven't really had time to do that. Hold runners is up. Always worry that it helps. It does help lefty batters get through. I'm fairly confident. But again, it's a game of inches, 100%. And I feel like we're trying to do surgery with like scissors and like axes, and so it's really hard to do precision type stuff. Like the sliders are in general are like, it's just a function of the game. They're kludgy, but they are what we have, and so some surgeries are done with scissors though. Observing box scores, it's incredibly difficult. Like, I think one thing that I know a lot of good players have done, they've gone in and they watch so much of the in-game stuff, and I've tried to do a little bit of it. If you really want to get involved, or not involved, but you really want to get a good handle, like watch highlights, watch replays. I find it hard to do. I find it hard to have the time to do it. But that's that. If you want to really understand the minutia, that's kind of what you have to do, and basically at every situation be like, how would I want to influence the game? Because even then, the sliders that we choose, they might be the right move, but the outcome might be not what you want. And I think that's one of the most like frustrating parts, that you kind of have to hey, that's baseball. So even if you had like even if you have the perfect sliders, you still lose. Like, I don't know. Let's just say, like, if you have between, if everyone had the same team and you had the best sliders, you probably go from 50.5 to maybe like 52. Like, I would say. But if you have, but if you everyone had the same team, and you have an OOTP shirt. If everyone if everyone had the same team, and you had the wrong sliders, then I would say that your like win percentage goes from 50.5 or what have you, whatever the home field advantage is, to like 45. It's really, really easy to kind of shoot yourself in the foot. And like so going back to, I forget who it was, Redman. Like, I think if I was gonna run something, I think I have like these sliders, and so like they're much more less aggressive. But like maybe I'm not good, and like I leave hold runners in the middle, because what I like to do is I like to go in, and I've changed my mind now. Previously I was like, oh, hold runners is high, so that means I should have a high hold runner. Now I've gone and said, okay, hold runners is high. How often do I want this pitcher to throw over? And I'm going to say, 2. And like, really, I don't know what this does. Like, I don't know if this should be high or low. I've changed it to low for higher values and then high for lower values to try to compensate. I don't know. I'm at a bit of a loss for words. If someone knows what's the right way to set hold runners based on the hold rating, or if you shouldn't matter, it probably has a minor influence on the game, is effectively. So what I would say is just try to be consistent. That's probably the best you can do. And then basically the only other thing I do is I go in and for high control guys, I say, yeah, you can throw around a bit more. That's fine. 80, let's say +3. I typically ignore hold runners. So let's say, 80 is a +3, and then I'll say, 70 is a +2. Anything 70 to 80 is a +2. I go in and I just kind of go, and less than 70 over 60 is a +1. 60s are +1. 58 is or 60s 0. 58 47. So one thing I do, a staff with high hold ratings, you can turn the slider down if your staff is terrible. Yeah. So yeah, tech, I've kind of, like I said, I've kind of went back and forth. The one thing that I don't know if I shoot myself in the foot is, as control gets worse, someone walks more. I haven't really done too much of an analysis, but my guess is that their pitches per plate appearance or pitches per batter is a lot less, so they tire more. And because of that, I've toyed around with modifying my hooks based on their control. Um, so yeah, so someone with a little less control, I want to hook them a lot faster. And when compounded with, the overall, so like in the seventh and eighth where I would pitch, my relievers, I basically want to say, I don't want my relief pitchers who are prone to walk a lot of rope. So as I come down here, I kind of go in here and I say, pitch round. And then for someone like, Joe Kelly, who isn't he a center fielder? No. Oh, that Joe Kelly. Oh. I'll be hyper aggressive and say, hook this guy as soon as possible. Right. But sometimes I want to hook them even faster. And sometimes I don't want to hook them. But kidneys is very much for kidneys, I think the way he does his sliders is basically you come in here and you just basically go like this and you go like that, and then you say 85 and 25. And that probably works. That probably works. And then you don't have to, as you're going in here, all you have to do is just kind of adjust the pitch around. I think the other thing that I've been toying around with is, I go in and I look at my relievers, and I've been setting, different pitch counts and aggressive tiredness hooks. So someone with 100 pitches, I could say, they could go 35 pitches. And someone with, 84, they could also go 35 pitches. Someone with 72, maybe they go 30 pitches. And then someone who's 18, I want them to 25 pitch count. Changing sliders based on innings is for nerds. Yeah. So this is another way to kind of do it. Because, relief pitchers are fungible, as we kind of talked about, but at the same time, if someone is like through, like they've gotten 4 outs and they could finish off the inning, but you have their pitch count, you have their batter faced limit on, like it's hard to kind of figure out what's the right answer. Like, should this always be 3 batters or 4 batters faced? Like, maybe I should do that. A lot of the times I still see this should be 25. This should be 25. I still see like someone give up, 5 runs come in to a dirty inning with people on base, face 4 batters, and give up 5 runs. So it's like, what does it matter if their batters faced limit is, 4 or 3 or 0? Like, sometimes the game just wants your relievers to get blown up. And you can't really do much with that. Changing sliders between formats. What formats do you mean? Like eras or other stuff, or caps and stuff? Right now, I think the only thing I really consider is, for caps and not opens. League versus caps. I don't know. My league sliders, they're just what they are. For opens versus caps, a lot of the times I kind of look more at going back to the slides, the substitution strategy. Like that's probably, again, the most important things to consider. So, how frequently you're substituting your pitchers, your position players, the strength of your backups, and those types of things. Like, I've talked with people a lot. I've thought about it a lot, but anyone who's been following the New York Mets series, like what Buck Showalter is like thinking of doing and the Mets are doing with DeGrom. Like, it's like, do you save DeGrom for the second series, or do you just pitch DeGrom in game one? It's like, as like perfect team managers, we kind of have the same decision in Caps. It's like, you know, I in best of fives, I've thought about, it's like, hey, why don't you save your best pitcher for game 3 in a best of 5, because then you can close it out. And it's like, but that doesn't make any sense. And so like, but that's like going back to like even one of our very first streams with Durden around, you know, how we set up our teams is probably the most control we have in it. And the actual simulations, we have zero control. Like, these sliders are, like I said, like they're useful, but not really, but useful. The answer is I don't know. Oh, the cat's coming through. My cat's name is Pi. He's a terror. So yeah. So I think on that note, I'm going to be preparing to go to the Jays game. So thanks everyone for coming. I hope you enjoyed me rambling on and on about sliders and how little I understand them. Durden, hopefully, he's been a bit AWOL. Sliders, how do they work? Yep. So yeah, I hope you got some use out of this. I know there's lots of people, and we all kind of try to figure stuff out. Would be an actual answer of how does base run. If I had a lot more time, maybe I'll quit my job and do like reasonable base running modeling and get a good understanding of the relationship. I do think there's actually, before I leave, I wanna show you some fun stuff. Hold on, I had a good idea. This was brought to my attention very early on, that you can do some pretty fun things. Like, you can ask the AI to set up the strategy. Oh, it doesn't work for this. For some reason, they don't like to do strategies for pitchers, but you can come in here and you can say, you know what? God, I'm disappointed. The AI, like, if you go into a perfect draft, you can see that the AI sets up some really funky strategies for some players, but apparently not all of them. These look like my sliders. Yeah, that's kind of disappointing. Sometimes the AI sets up good stuff, sometimes I guess not. It seems really makes me even more confused. Yeah, it used to work, and I guess sometimes it doesn't. But you know what? Oh, I see. Okay, so if you had no job, you could hang with kidneys in space. So yeah, going back, hold on. It doesn't like it when you have stuff set. So if I come in here and I say, you know, clear all strategies, all the hard work that we just did, and then we say, ask AI for all strategies. Now you can see how OTP thinks these cards should play. And again, pitchers, for some reason it doesn't like to set any of the pitcher stuff. Does it set? No. So it thinks that for a lot of these guys, they should be in the middle. And I think that's kind of indicative of how the game thinks it should. Fab, it's a bit of a meme stream where, you know, I ask questions like, how do they work? Okay, now I'm going to be off for real. So thanks, everyone. Yeah, good luck to everyone in PTCS. I think I'm going to spend 30 minutes making my PTCS stream. or making my PTCS teams. So yeah, thanks. Okay, have a good weekend. Bye guys. Bye.